A quiet corner of a warm kitchen holds a silent witness to centuries of human obsession. The wrinkled skin rests in stillness, guarding secrets of a time before recorded history began. Beneath this fragile surface lies a doorway, leading back to the primordial shadows of the ancient earth. The ancient mountains of Changbai stand entirely silent, while a heavy, eternal mist swallows the towering peaks, hiding life. Beneath the freezing blanket of white winter snow, a tiny, solitary seed slumbers in the absolute dark, waiting patiently. Decades pass like fleeting whispers in this forgotten realm, where the harsh, relentless cold purifies the ancient soil. A fragile, pale capillary finally breaks the heavy silence, drinking the purest essence of the frozen mountain earth. Awakening, slowly. It does not rush like the fleeting spring blossoms, for true power requires the heavy weight of undisturbed time. Deep in the cold abyss, the root slowly twists, absorbing the mystical energy of a completely untouched wild world, growing stronger. Storms rage fiercely above the towering, ancient green canopy. Yet down below, a silent miracle takes its definitive shape. The twisting fibers stretch outward, resembling a human form, as if the cold earth itself is dreaming of conscious life, breathing quietly. Legends whisper that when the midnight shadows fall completely, this curious subterranean entity absorbs the wandering souls of men. Tiny capillaries spread through the dark dirt like veins, pumping golden earthly blood into a magnificent vessel of sacred flesh. A phantom. For centuries it slumbers beneath a sea of roots, waiting for the fatal footsteps of those who seek immortality. Every scar on its rough crown marks a harsh winter, sealing a silent promise to cheat the inevitable grip of death forever. The biting winter winds howl fiercely across the mountains, burying the forgotten forest in deep snow, resting peacefully. Deep beneath the heavy frost, the hidden entity breathes slowly, gathering the pure, earthly energy in darkness, growing steadily. Centuries melt away just like the fleeting morning spring frost, leaving the most resilient ancient survivors behind, standing tall. The rough yellow skin thickens heavily with each passing decade, etching the heavy weight of time inside. Profound patience. Majestic wild beasts tread lightly over the hidden sacred ground, unaware of the magical life blooming below, purely silent. Tiny, delicate tendrils stretch outward into the deep, damp earth, shaping small, fragile arms and tiny legs. Human form. Sunlight struggles to pierce the immensely thick, emerald green canopy, guarding the ancient treasure from greedy eyes, hidden safely. At the highest peak of this curious subterranean wooden body, a rugged head emerges, claiming a soul, observing silently. Heavy seasonal rains wash over the ancient, silent mountain slopes, carrying precious minerals deep into the earth, feeding life. A single drop of pure water touches the golden skin, awakening a dormant spirit from deep slumber, pulsing brightly. Golden autumn leaves drift slowly onto the cold, damp ground, layering a thick blanket of mountain warmth, preparing sleep. The strange human root tightens its fibrous body once again, bracing for another brutal century of cold, enduring pain. Countless brilliant stars rotate above the solitary jagged mountain peaks, watching the silent botanical miracle unfold perfectly. Timeless beauty. Within the tough flesh, a quiet, magical essence burns brightly, trapping the magnificent power of wild nature, shining faintly. A thick, ghostly mist reclaims the ancient sacred mountain valley, burying the immortal root in absolute secrecy, awaiting discovery. The thick, ancient mist slowly recedes from the damp earth, revealing a fully formed, wooden child of pristine wild nature, resting quietly. Towering ancient pines stand silently like immortal wooden giant guardians, casting long, heavy shadows over the sacred hidden mountain ground, standing strong. Intricate fibrous limbs stretch deep into the freezing mountain bedrock, securing a powerful anchor against the raging, brutal winter storms. Holding tight. A solitary, majestic eagle soars high above the jagged peaks, watching the slow passing of 1,000 silent, forgotten years. Observing closely. Glowing golden minerals run deeply through its rugged, pale skin, forging an unbreakable vessel filled with pure, ancient mountain vitality, shining brightly. Seasons blend together rapidly in a swirling cinematic earthly dance, blurring the heavy line between ancient wild myth and reality, spinning fast. Deep, dark crevices on the upper crown begin to merge, forming the eerie, silent visage of an old, immortal, wise sage, waiting patiently. A radiant golden dawn pierces the heavy morning mountain fog, bathing the pristine ancient valley in a warm, divine, magical light. Pure magic. Tiny crimson berries vibrate gently in the cold morning breeze, signaling the hidden magical presence buried far below the damp ground, burning red. A sudden, heavy footstep breaks the pristine, untouched winter snow, introducing a dangerous new apex predator into the sacred wild domain. Mankind arrives. Faint, violent vibrations echo downward through the dark, frozen earth, disturbing the profound, magical slumber of the immortal hidden human root. Sensing danger, a lonely, dark silhouette wanders through the endless white mist, hunting desperately for a mythical herbal cure to defeat inevitable death. Seeking life. The subterranean wooden body pulses with a fierce golden light, attempting to burrow deeper, away from the greedy, looming human hands, hiding away. The exhausted ancient wanderer falls heavily to his freezing knees, worshipping the tiny, vibrant red crown of the legendary magical botanical miracle. Finding hope. Trembling, calloused fingers slowly brush away the damp, dark soil, exposing the raw, majestic, wild power of a captive, ancient, earthen soul. Unearthed. Finally, the sacred immortal root leaves the wild, frozen mountains, approaching the glorious golden palace gates, seeking destiny. Bound tightly with crimson silk inside a dark wooden chest, sleeping quietly inside the dark royal carriage. Moving slowly. Heavy wooden doors swing open to reveal the imperial court, welcoming the mythical symbol of pure power, absolute authority. A delicate golden scale measures the dried, earthly human shape, valuing the magical ancient root above gold. Extreme wealth. The mighty emperor watches from his elevated, glorious carved throne, desiring the immortal essence of wild nature, endless life. Dark black ink flows onto a sacred royal parchment decree declaring total monopoly over the ancient mountains. Extreme control. Heavily armed imperial guards march aggressively through the forbidden valleys, guarding the botanical miracle with sharp swords. Spilling blood. Placed carefully upon a magnificent carved glowing red jade plate, the silent root commands absolute, profound reverence. Pure awe. Wise royal physicians gather around flickering dim orange candlelight flames, studying the profound anatomy of the root, seeking truth. A razor-sharp silver blade gently slices the pale, hardened flesh, releasing a bitter, aromatic cloud of steam, pungent scent. Boiling water bubbles fiercely inside an ornate, massive bronze cauldron, extracting the legendary golden essence of life. Brewing medicine. The pale yellow liquid thickens into a rich, dark potion, glowing fiercely with stolen vitality of nature. Pure magic. Trembling royal servants carry the steaming, magical, botanical golden brew, delivering the false promise of infinite time. Blind hope. An aged, frail hand reaches desperately for the warm ceramic. Drinking the heavy sacrifice of 100 men, tasting greed. Shadows grow long across the polished marble floor of power, proving that even emperors must inevitably surrender. Death waits. The heavy royal seal marks the beginning of an absolute monopoly over the majestic wild mountains, claiming every single miraculous botanical treasure buried within. Immense greed. Impenetrable wooden barricades rise aggressively across the freezing white sacred valleys, blocking native, desperate mountain people from their ancient ancestral foraging grounds. Complete isolation. Cold, sharpened steel spears reflect the bleak, unforgiving light of the harsh winter sun, threatening anyone who dares to cross the strict border. Fatal warning. Endless rows of heavily armored soldiers march deeply into the sacred, pristine pine forest, trampling the delicate, freezing undergrowth beneath heavy iron boots. Ruthless power. Fierce, emotionless eyes scan the dense, swirling white fog of the forbidden, ancient realm, searching constantly for any hidden trace of the magical root. Pure vigilance. Desperate indigenous hunters kneel helplessly in the freezing snow before cruel imperial masters, paying a heavy, bloody price for walking their ancestral lands. Profound tragedy. Heavy rusted iron chains bite deeply into the freezing skin of innocent men, turning the beautiful wild sanctuary into a terrifying earthly prison. Lost freedom. Exhausted enslaved laborers relentlessly tear apart the pristine, ancient, sacred mountain floor, destroying the delicate natural balance to feed an endless royal hunger. Violent destruction. The sacred earth is violently ripped open, leaving deep, tragic, bleeding wounds, draining the profound, ancient, magical vitality from the weeping, dying forest. Silent pain. Desperate, starving smugglers gather silently around a tiny, hidden, flickering orange campfire, risking absolute brutal execution just to harvest a single medicinal root. Deadly gamble. Tarnished ancient silver coins slide quickly across a rough wooden table, trading a fragile human life for the sacred, immortal wood. Corrupt exchange. A fierce, relentless blizzard swallows the treacherous paths of the ancient mountain, punishing both the greedy royal guards and the desperate, hungry thieves. Indiscriminate wrath. A numb, frostbitten hand grips an iron tool in the freezing darkness, fighting a tragic losing battle against the overwhelming, brutal mountain cold. Ultimate sacrifice. The violent storm breaks, leaving an eerie, terrifying blanket of pure white, erasing every single tragic footprint of the fallen, desperate human hunters. Total erasure. A brilliant drop of crimson blood melts slowly into the freezing white snow, nourishing the sacred soil where a new ancient root sleeps. Bloody cycle. Decades of relentless, greedy, royal harvesting leave the majestic ancient mountains deeply scarred, stripping the pristine, silent earth of its magic. Barren wasteland. Even the once legendary, immortal botanical miracle begins to fade into tragic myth, losing its profound, powerful, ancient earthly essence completely, fading away. Fierce rebellion erupts violently across the heavily guarded, freezing white mountain borders, tearing down the greedy, oppressive, royal wooden barricades, demanding freedom. The supreme authority of the glorious ancient emperor shatters upon the frozen earth, breaking the absolute brutal monopoly over wild nature. Lost control. Nature always finds a miraculous, quiet way to heal its deeply wounded flesh, burying the tragic, dark human history beneath greenery. Surviving time. A single, magnificent crimson berry rises bravely from the ashes of greedy men, promising a beautiful, quiet rebirth of ancient magic. Life returns. The coveted immortal root flows freely into the bustling, dusty, ancient trade routes, traveling far beyond the strictly guarded mountain borders. Global journey. Heavy leather ledgers record the massive, extraordinary wealth generated by the sacred wood, calculating the immense, bloody cost of human desire. Pure commerce. Wise ancient scholars across the beautiful, misty eastern peninsula cultivate the wild seeds, domesticating the fierce, magical, botanical spirit with care. New era. The fierce, rugged, humanoid shape transforms into a smoother, pale, beautiful, elegant form, tamed gently by the endless patience of farmers. Calm essence. Endless, neat wooden canopies protect the precious sleeping roots from the burning sun, replicating the dark, cool shadows of primeval forests. Perfect harmony. Human hands finally learn to nurture the sacred earth instead of plundering it, forging a deeply respectful, silent, botanical, spiritual alliance. Mutual survival. The legendary cure reaches the desperate hands of ordinary, suffering, ancient, sick people, healing the fragile, broken bodies of common men. Widespread mercy. Golden dust rises beautifully from the heavy, heavy, traditional bronze mortar and pestle, carrying the profound, ancient, wild magic into tea. Medicinal art. A warm, fragrant steam carries the heavy weight of 1,000 violent years, whispering the silent, epic, tragic history of survival. Fading mist. The immense royal libraries gather countless ancient, fragile botanical scrolls, recording the eternal, desperate human struggle against absolute death. Fading history. Faded black ink strokes gracefully mimic the twisted ancient roots, breathing silent, magical life into quiet, aged, yellow parchment. Eternal wisdom. Serene, peaceful monks meditate silently high above the swirling clouds, seeking perfect inner harmony through the sacred, bitter wood. Ultimate balance. A single fragile drop of warm golden tea falls gently, creating slow, mesmerizing ripples across a tiny, tranquil ocean. Quiet reflection. The harsh, magnificent, ancient mountains stand completely silent once again, forgiving the violent, tragic, bloody sins of desperate men. Nature remains. Deep beneath the heavy frost, the true wild essence survives, hiding safely from the burning, endless greed of mankind. Pure survival. Wise, frail hands carefully pass the wooden box down generations, entrusting the profound, ancient, magical secret to young guardians. Passing time. Innocent, warm fingers trace the deep scars of the wood, learning the heavy, tragic, beautiful cost of true immortality. Silent lesson. Towering modern shadows rise slowly across the distant, misty horizon. Yet the ancient herbal sanctuary maintains its sacred peace, unbroken tradition. Heavy polished brass handles gleam softly in the warm light, worn perfectly smooth by centuries of desperate human hope. Enduring faith. Massive imperial stone tombs sit quietly under the green moss, proving that no earthly botanical magic conquers absolute death. Final truth. The glorious golden promise of eternal youth slowly crumbles away, leaving behind a profound, beautiful, tragic lesson for humanity. Inevitable end. A perfect, harmonious balance replaces the fierce, violent, royal obsession, celebrating the fragile, beautiful, fleeting nature of human existence. Finding peace. The strange, magnificent wooden body no longer promises false eternity, but offers a gentle, warm vitality for the living. True gift. An ancient, cold mountain wind whispers through the open window, carrying the mysterious, immortal, wild spirit into the present. Time flows. The ancient botanical texts are preserved safely in modern glass, protecting the fragile and silent, tragic history. A sacred archive. Modern science gently extracts the heavy golden sap with precision, revealing the profound, ancient, magical, earthly compounds. Measured truth. Bustling neon city streets pulse rapidly around quiet, traditional apothecaries. Bridging the enormous, violent, ancient historical divide, two worlds. A perfectly dried, glowing root rests securely upon soft silk, holding the quiet, heavy weight of centuries, sleeping deeply. Millions of people now seek a tiny measure of vitality, escaping the dark, terrifying, inevitable human decay. Universal fear. The rugged human face on the crown smiles in silence, watching the futile, endless, desperate, mortal race. Timeless wisdom. Epic, towering pine forests in the distant, misty eastern mountains, standing totally indifferent to human fleeting desires. Natural law. A solitary green seed falls gently onto the dark earth, beginning the ancient, beautiful, tragic cycle again. Life renews. The mysterious botanical legend slowly fades into a warm cup, dissolving the massive, terrifying weight of time. Simple peace. Golden amber liquid reflects a beautiful, warm, familiar modern light, signaling the final epic journey back home. Journey ends. The majestic, endless pine forests completely vanish into thin air, pulling us backward through the glass boundary. Reality returns. The thick glass wall solidifies perfectly in the warm kitchen, containing the wild, fierce, magnificent, ancient spirit, safely enclosed. A quiet modern space holds a profound, terrifying historical secret. Sitting silently upon the simple wooden counter, forgotten lore. The humble paper label merely reads the name of Ginseng, hiding 1,000 bloody, tragic, ancient winters. Simple name. True immortality does not belong to emperors or ambitious men. It belongs only to the silent, patient earth, resting eternally.